Mother.
How you doing, Cali Crowd? Well, over a year ago on this channel, I set myself the goal to be able to kick up into a handstand, and that challenge was a failure. It was a complete failure. In fact, I sucked at kicking up into a handstand so much so that I had to change the whole nature of my handstand midway through, and I learned to frog to handstand instead. The journey to learn how to do this presented quite a lot of challenges. There were highs, like the first time I realized this was possible, and there were lows. But entering the handstand this way allowed me to hold a handstand wobbly as they were, and so I did what anybody who can handstand does and dropped 1,000,001 handstand posts on Instagram. However, while I could hold a handstand, I did feel like a fraud because I couldn't get into a handstand in arguably the most typical form of entry, namely the kick up. Something I've mentioned on this channel before is party trick strength. The idea that mastery of a calisthenics skill comes when the ability to do that skill is not limited by environmental factors, but also being able to do it in situations that provide a new set of challenges. The kick up to handstand represented this for me, and in my mind, mastery of the handstand skill became synonymous with the ability to kick up and do it anywhere. So the question then became, how do you measure mastery of the kick up? I came to the conclusion to set myself the goal of being able to kick up into a 10-second handstand in 4 out of 6 attempts. Now, I hear you asking, why 4 out of 6 attempts? Well, my frog to handstand challenge had already shown that I could hold a handstand, so this wasn't a challenge about handstanding ability. In fact, 18 months ago when I'd first got into calisthenics and started learning how to handstand, I had actually held a 6-second handstand in week 1, which shows that on a good day, I can grab a decent handstand even as a complete fluke. No, this challenge felt like it had to be more about consistency, and in my mind, being able to kick up 66% of the time felt like a good target to aim for. Day 1 started by filming myself and figuring out what my kick up looked like, which was incredibly humbling. I did know that learning how to kick up to handstand wouldn't be easy, but I did think that there should have been a lot more spillover and carryover from the frog to handstand, and yet on day 1 I exhibited the same sort of tendencies that we associate with handstand beginners. Arms not straight, shoulders behind the hands, scapula protracted and depressed instead of elevated, excessive arching through the spine during the kick up. Essentially, I was showing all the hallmarks of somebody that wanted to keep both their feet on the ground. The funny thing is that while handstand pressing is the harder entry to learn, it is more strength focused as opposed to the more neurologically challenging kick up to handstand. I felt like I was starting from zero all over again, but this time round I refused to give up. My first attempt at this kick up to handstand challenge had been characterized by frustrating attempts to just handstand, and these had got more and more frantic as time had gone on. So I decided to go back to the drawing board and hit the wall. Literally. I did back to wall handstands for 3 weeks every single morning, and on every back to wall kick up, I aimed to try not to use the wall, which was hard, but on day 23, I was consistently able to kick up into a handstand and barely touch the wall at all. But the moment I took the handstand into a large open space, this happened. Comparing my kick ups near the wall to a kick up in free space showed me what was wrong, and that actually little had changed from my initial kick up attempts. What this did highlight to me though was this probably wasn't an issue to do with technique, and more an issue to do with the fear of falling, which was mental more than physical. So to get over it, I decided to do something called fear setting, a doctrine coined by author Tim Ferriss to stop your fears from blocking your goals by identifying and owning them. And this is how I applied it to handstands. See, I knew I could handstand. I also knew I could bail out of a handstand if I needed to, so the idea of falling should not have been a fear for me, but it was. So before every handstand session, as part of my warm-up, I would deliberately kick up hard into the handstand, almost with the intention to fall out of it. This removed any fear around falling almost immediately because I had become comfortable with it. This did wonders for my handstanding, and on day 39, I managed to string 2 shaky handstand kick-ups together in back-to-back attempts for the first time. Now, when I got home, naturally I wanted to analyze what had been so good about these handstands that had yielded such good results. And what I noticed was that I had started pressing down on my fingers before I'd even started to kick up, and I kept them pressed down until I had found balance. And I didn't rush to get into the handstand, instead settling to correct a bit at the elbows, shoulders and hips before looking for that more familiar handstand line. From here, I knew it was just a matter of time and repetition before I could consistently string multiple kick-ups together. And in the middle of week 7, 51 days after setting this challenge, I did this. Guys, I cannot tell you what this means to me. The handstand has gone from being the bane of my life to my favorite calisthenics skill in the year and a half since originally setting this challenge. Depending on the day, the handstand is still a bit hit and miss, but by learning to kick up consistently, this will do wonders for my ability to spend quality time actually balancing instead of wasting my energy just getting into the handstand, which will hopefully mean I can progress my handstands further one day. If you haven't already, definitely check out my other How I Learned videos to check out what other calisthenics skills I've been working on. But as always, crowd, I want to know what you guys are working on. What calisthenics skills are you guys pushing towards? Let me know down in the comment section below. And crowd, I'll see you in the next one.